Johnson here. This is one of our project vehicles, customers mid-80s square body truck. You know, square bodies have become all the rage now after the C10s got so popular and they got so hard to find and so expensive. The next step in progression was the square body, and I grew up with these trucks. I was in high school when they were brand new still. My first vehicle was a square body truck, 1977 GMC long bed. This is the preferred square body of choice, if you will. It's the short box, and this truck happens to be lowered, has a big block Chevy in it, and let me show you what it's got. We think it's a 454. I was told it was a 454. We'll look at some numbers later, maybe try to determine, but it really doesn't matter. It's a cool truck, sits right. The only thing I don't like about it, it's got the door handle shaved, and that's a pain, but we're gonna make that right. And we're gonna make this thing drivable. And what we're gonna do is take off that junk and install that beautiful piece of well-engineered Holley glory, the Holley Sniper EFI kit. What it has is a ratty old Edelbrock Carter AFB style carburetor. That's the cheap choice for people that just want to get something running. There's no tunability per se in them. There's hardly any adjustability in them, and they sit and they get old and they're just junk. They're all right. Sorry to bash Edelbrock, but they're okay to bolt something on, but they don't make much power. And when you can't performance build them per se like you can a Holley. And I hate them. I absolutely hate them. They come on all kinds of cars that you see. You buy them all the time. You see them, and they're not worth it. So my suggestion to this customer was, let's make this car drivable. Let's make it reliable. It'll start up in any temperature. And we're going to take it off. We're going to get this carburetor off. We're going to clean it up, do some spray paint a little bit, make it look nice under the hood. I'm going to pressure wash it and then paint the intake and the block and stuff like that. But then I'm gonna put this Holley Sniper on, and you're gonna watch me do the install and the initial startup and all that kind of stuff. And right now, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and let's check out what's in the Holley Sniper kit. All right, so got to take a little sip of the adult beverage here. Holley Sniper EFI. Look at that. Two boxes inside of a box. Let's see what's in this one. This looks like the thing you want to see right here. I bet you it is. Okay, so relays, carb gasket, air cleaner lid. This is the glory right here. If you could see what I could see, I'm looking in the briefcase from Pulp Fiction, and it's glowing. It's just beaming at me. So let's take it out here. This is the Sniper kit. Originally we'd ordered the gold one, looks like a Holley carburetor. They were out of stock, but we've got this bad boy right here. Look at this. This looks like a Holley double pumper carburetor. Has the same style throttle body, has the same linkage hookup, right? No Venturis. It's got the inlets here. That's a throttle position sensor. And it's got the injector wires. It's all plug and play, folks. The hardest part is going to be drilling a hole in the exhaust for the O2. So here's the throttle blades as they open. The computer is, or the control is in here. There's injectors in here. There's two injectors on this side and two injectors on that side that spray down. It's got the vacuum ports, all that. beautiful piece of equipment here. No adjustments on the sides, no screws. You do it all with the programmer. Now let's check out what's in this box. Fuel line, beautiful. The fuel pump died on this thing. I got it started by pouring fuel down the carburetor, so I know the engine runs. We have a piece of hose there. Holley accessories. A port. Old school looking fuel pressure regulator. And a bracket. That's to regulate to 55 PSI. We got a Wix fuel filter, all included in the kit. This cool line that goes to the carburetor. It's got crimped on fittings. A fitting here for the fuel pump. Another fitting here. Let's see what this is. Oh, this is a fuel filter. There's before and after fuel filter. So here's another fuel filter. We'll show you the installation of the fuel system. This one comes with some clamps. That's another fuel filter. One before the pump, one after the pump. An NOS sniper fitting, or two of those. Some more fuel line fittings. NOS 90-degree bulkhead fitting. Some clamps. Some little washers. And a clamp here. And this is the frame mount fuel pump. Fuel pump right here. So we have another box underneath the box that had the throttle body in it. And this harness and split loom, O2 sensor, some more clamps, and then a temperature sender. And this is where the magic happens, ladies and gentlemen. This right here is your touch screen Holley Sniper EFI. Will put that on the dash. It's programmable. We set the parameters in, set the wheel size, or the just what the combination is, real brief stuff, and let it program and then fire it up. So let's get started. Pretty cool stuff. That's a nice touch screen. It's going to show us the temperature and fuel pressure and stuff like that. And there's add-ons you can get if you want to monitor other things. So here we go. Holley Sniper fuel injection. And I'm the kind of guy, I will read the instructions, or at least flip through them, get a basic idea of what they suggest on starting. But here you can see the instructions. You can see that's the other style Holley throttle body. I like the one that looks like a carburetor, and that's the display screen. But I think this is just beautiful right here. This is really nice piece. It's powder coated, and it's gonna look amazing on this truck. So let's get started cleaning up, get that old carburetor off, and get this stuff installed and see if we can get it fired up real quick. All right, so we got the pressure washing done. Got most of the grease off. We're gonna get the old carburetor off now. Then we're gonna do some spray painting around it. Kind of just, I'm gonna pull the valve covers off probably and put new gaskets on that and paint those later. But for now, we're just gonna kind of spray what we can and dust it so it looks a little better. But let's go ahead and get the carburetor off. Old hoses die hard. All 4 nuts. Don't need that anymore. Nobody else will either. Nobody will succumb to the troubles an Edelbrock carburetor gives them. All right. Look at that. Not much water down in there. We're good to go. So, it's got a little bit of a spacer plate on it. We're probably gonna have to change the studs out. They don't look like they're long enough. I do have some more carburetor studs. So let me go see. Again, our Holley Sniper fuel injection is gonna go on like this. That's it. Hook up the fuel line and fire it up. Not quite. Gotta hook up an O2 sensor, gotta hook up the fuel system, mount fuel pressure regulator, run some wires through the firewall, but that's basically what it's going to look like. So new carburetor studs, we're going to dig those up. We're going to get some paint on this thing, and then we will start officially mounting stuff. So let's do this. Just going to put a little coat on here just to cover up this nasty orange. This truck hasn't run in a couple years. It's been sitting, waiting on the owner to make a decision on what he was going to do to it, and having random people work on it. So I think this is just a stock 454 out of a pickup truck. Somebody put a water pump on it. They didn't even paint it. They just slapped it on. So it's all rust. We'll take care of detailing stuff as we go. We're going to do a nice install for this customer, but you're not going to see a lot of this stuff. Thermostat in it. We're going to paint the air cleaner real nice. Paint it black. And just when you pop the hood, it'll be a sanitary look. I like the word sanitary. I prefer to use satin black on stuff like this, but this BHT paint is some of the best paint they make. It spreads well. You don't have to put a primer coat on. And it dries quickly. Good, so we'll let that dry for a minute and put another coat on. And I'm gonna start removing the old fuel lines, get that out of the way, and we'll put another coat on. So, be back in a minute. All right, so this is an old school quadrajet intake. It's the stock 4-barrel intake that came on a truck in the 80s. And it's got an adapter on it. I gotta find the right Allen wrench because it uses 5/16 bolts that are upside down. So these Allen heads attach the plate to the intake manifold in the quadrajet bolt pattern, and then it gives you a spread bore Holley Edelbrock style. So what we have to do to get longer studs is we have to find longer. We have to be very careful when we take this off, nothing falls down in the intake. But so those are the Allen heads that bolt to the original quadrajet spread bore flange. What a spread bore is, you can see here's the 5/16 nuts, bolts that we just need some longer ones. I have to run to the hardware store and get those. Those go in here and the hex head holds them in place. And this is down on the intake, and then you bolt the plate to this. So the spread bore is this. We have the big secondaries are spread and the primaries are smaller. GM did that so that it would make better fuel economy running off the fronts like a 2-barrel. And then when you open it up, it gave you a lot more flow. Well, to run a Holley carburetor or Edelbrock carburetor, you have to have the different bolt pattern because it won't bolt to this intake. So it's an old school stock intake. So we'll get another gasket, we'll go with some longer bolts, clean all this up, get the old fuel line off, and bolt this throttle body on. That way I can start plumbing fuel lines. All right, so we got the adapter plate all painted on the sides, cleaned up, gasket materials all off. We got the longer bolts, and we got some new nuts. So let's do this. We'll put these in here like this. I went a little bit longer in case I decide to add another spacer plate down the line. It's okay, typical carburetor. Can have long studs anyway. So this is the spread bore gasket that goes on first. And then we put this adapter plate on. Just like a carburetor, tighten them down across pattern so you don't kind of torque them like a wheel and you're going across star pattern or whatever. And I use this fancy torque wrench that's built into my elbow. Put our gasket on for our throttle body. And on goes the throttle body. There we go. Much better looking with the black paint. Now we got to find the nuts I dropped. And I'm going to go find some flat washers. Okay, got 4 flat washers, 4 locking washers. Flat washer's a little big, but it'll be all right. Nobody will ever notice, except for you people on the comments. Four brand new 1/4 by 18 nuts. I mean 5/16 by 18. These fuel injection kits are really neat. When you get the parameters set, the more you drive them, the more they learn. And they learn how you drive and the demands the motor's going to need. And they start self-tuning. Current technology, cars learn. They learn how you drive. They learn how aggressive you drive. And they learn shift patterns and all that stuff. And so do these. So. Coolest part is throttle linkage and all that will work the same, and I can go get another nut, put on top of that, and hook up my throttle cable. Voila. Got another nut in this package here. There's a little adapter that comes in the package to hook up this throttle cable. We'll do that later. And there we have it. Now we're going to get rid of this fuel line and slap the new fuel line on there and figure out where we're going to put the regulator. Alright, so got this separated from the fuel pump. Well, it's got a filter. I had it cut loose. There we go. This fuel line is so old, it's brittle, it's hard to bend. So, a magic box of tricks over here. Good looking braided lines. Started. This one swivels. Grab a 11/16 to tighten those up. And then we got a fitting we got to search for. And we have a regulator. Comes with a bracket. And it has a boost reference port on it if you're going to use boost. And it has the little screws. Holley fuel pressure regulator here. So 3 ports. And then you have a a fuel pressure port here and a boost reference port there. This is one of the fuel filters. So we'll go from AN fitting to clamp-on style. And here's the other fuel filter. We'll put before the regulator. So we have these fittings here that go in the regulator. This is our fuel pump. That'll go down on the frame. There's our bulkhead fitting. This is the one we're looking for. This is the female 6AN that goes on here. Tuck that down. That. We're going to do some Loctite and we'll put these other fittings in the regulator. And see, we have an inner fender lining, so these, we'll put Loctite on these and it'll act as a sealant. And we'll mount this down on the inner fender well. One will go back to the tank for return. or else the other port will get plugged. It'll kind of be like that with this bracket here. We'll get all that mounted up, and we'll just put it down here on the fender where it's easy to access. Right, kind of out of the way. I'll show you that from the other angle in a little bit when we get it mounted. So we'll come back and start working on the fuel system, getting that plumbed. So, all right, so far looks good. I really like it. Tell me what you think in the comments about how this is going to look. Now, we paint the valve covers black or cast color or something. I kind of think we'll start with black because we can always pull them off and paint them again. That's going to look really good, a lot better than the Edelbrock. Now, we'll have air cleaner on it, but it's going to look really good, perform well. So we'll come back when we get the fuel pressure regulator mounted and show you how we're doing the fuel lines. All right. All right, moving along on the Holley install sniper kit here. These are the power and ground wires for the relay. There's a fuse and a relay. I'll show you that in a minute. We're gonna tie these to the battery right now, and then I'll show you in a minute. We got the fuel pump mounted with the filters on it and new fuel line run. Still got some straps to put on it, stuff like that, but I'll show you that. And then what we're going to do first though is we're going to fire up the relay and the fuel pump and pull all of the old fuel. The truck's been sitting for a while, so I'm going to show you how I'm going to make these terminals up. And not everybody does it this way, but personally I feel this is the best way to do a long-lasting terminal, especially on somebody else's vehicle that you want to go away and never come back and them to be happy with. So I have this heat shrink here, a little piece of red heat shrink. I'm gonna go ahead and cut. It's not the exact same color. Sometimes you gotta have good cutters. So a little piece of red here goes on the red terminal. Put that on first. And I like to put the straighter edge down. And then we slide this eyelet on here. Of course, this is a bare eyelet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to crimp it with the crimper. And I'm gonna kind of do it where there's a little bit of sticking out, and you have a good crimp like that, and then you can you see what you're working with, so you can kind of squeeze it together, make sure it's a good crimp, flatten it out, make sure it's tight. Before I put my heat shrink on though, just for a little extra security, buy one of these little torches, and I'm gonna torch the terminal and heat it up just enough to put a little bit of solder on it. And if you can see that, there's solder on the terminal now. So we'll take our black heat shrink, cut a little piece of that off as well. Put our black heat shrink on, put our terminal on. You can trim a little bit of this length off here. Sometimes you don't get it in there just right. There we go. you have to turn it. And that one, it slipped a little on me, but it's okay because we're going to solder it. So this one, we just go back a little further so that the solder touches the copper. Okay, so I got my heat shrink here. Got the end soldered, so we're just gonna take this with our little crackhead torch. One of the best things you can buy at a convenience store. All right, then we land these on the battery terminal. I can jumper the relay over, we can pump all the nasty fuel out of it, go to the store, get some good fuel, and I'll show you the rest of the install as we go along. Thanks. All right, skip to batteries installed, marine style or winglet style terminals on the battery. Everything's zip tied up. And we have our fan relay continuous duty solenoid down there. Try not to block all the light. So we have a red jumper wire that jumps the hot to a hot side of the solenoid. And then you see the blue and green wires there. The green's just capped off. That's for a secondary relay for if you want to run fans individual. It's in Texas, so we're going to run them both right now. And the blue coming off goes to power the fans, and the black comes back up here and lands on the terminal for the battery. So instead of going to the frame, we went directly back to the battery. So we have good ground all the time. And we have our weather pack connector. It's all tie wrapped to the fan, so it's not gonna get caught in anything. And it looks nice and tidy. That's the way you're supposed to wire fans. So, all right, and then you see the follow the red comes up here, hits there. So that's supplying power to the solenoid. When it's energized, it comes out of that terminal, goes to the fans. And then both fans are tied with one big ground wire going back to the battery. All right, so we're just about ready. We got to hook up a key on battery ignition wire, and this thing is ready to fire up. We got our O2 sensor. Let me show you that real quick because I didn't show you that stuff yet. We're gonna weld that to the header. Right now it's just clamped. Hole drilled in there. It's at an angle. And that's what they supply with the kit, is that bracket. So you don't have to have a welder, but I'm gonna go ahead and weld that bracket to the header. And I'm gonna strap this up there. But that's where our O2 sensor is. So, all right, we'll come back when we get ready to start and show you that process. We'll go through it together the first time. So going through with the Holley.
Oh, don't you want me to start it?
It's already started.
Oh, yes. Okay, go ahead.
So we have the Holley dash here. In the quick start, select wizard from the main menu.
Let me come in on it.
Okay, so then we got to select, okay, you're getting in the light a little bit, there you go. Okay, so we got to pick the one that we have. So 558.71K.
Turn a little more so we can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that light's shining off. I don't think we're gonna.
Okay, wait. It's a 8, 4 injector, 550 sniper stealth. Let's see. $550, 871K is what I said, right? There it is, right there. That's the one. You go to next. What? Number of cylinders is 8. Next. Okay, engine displacement. This is pretty cool. So you take this and slide this. And we're 454, so that was 448. We'll go back down. I'm not 604. Oh, you can do the 4. Getting used to this touch screen is a little bit different.
Your fat fingers on it.
I know, right? Okay, 426. 428. It'd help if I took it out. $454. Next. Target idle speed. I'm gonna put this thing up at like, let's just put 600 to start with. I don't know if it's got a camshaft to it or not.
Oh, can you type it in?
That's weird. Okay, 6. Let's see. Save. There we go. Next. I'm going to leave it as stock mild because if it does have a cam, it's going to be very mild. Considering it's got the stock intake on it. Power adder, none. Okay, so it's asking, is it coil, negative? I don't have an ignition box, so I'm just gonna go next. So now it's updating. Fuel pump came on. Ignition to complete operation. Let's go check for leaks. We heard the fuel pump come on and turned
Yeah,
off.
I heard it back over here. Is it supposed to be on the ground?
The fuel pump?
No, the water, gas?
You smelling it? Oh, come on, man. Let's go check under the hood for any fuel leaks.
I'll let you grab this now. Not as I can really call it cameraman.
Oh, you doing a good job.
You haven't seen it yet.
All right.
You smell it. That's good.
No leaks. I think we go for it, man. Let's try and start it for the first time. Hold the camera.
Okay. I can.
You want to do that or you want to do that?
Okay, you went all the way out? Big fireball. Ah!
exactly. Target AFR's 12.7. Coolant temperature's 111. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, I like that. Are we supposed to start turning stuff now?
And there's fresh paint on it because it was orange.
Oh.
Started right up, dude.
Yeah, first try.
Got a header leak, I can hear it. So I pointed at me. So as you saw in the earlier video,
Get the light behind you.
I painted the intake and the water pump and all that stuff. So it's the first startup since the fresh paint job on all that stuff. So that's what all the smoke is. But I'm really impressed. It starts up. We got some work to do. I'm gonna paint the valve covers and stuff, but we got to go drive it now. But really impressed with this Holley setup. We'll go drive it tomorrow and show you more